Okay, so I am live now. Oh, let me fix my camera here. See how see my shirt right here? See my shirt?
Yep.
Okay, so welcome everyone. This is part 2 of Selena Sessions discussion. The first discussion we had, it was last month. You can go back on YouTube and look at the link. The topic was 5 things he wanted her to know. And after that, I got a lot of questions from women. They said, well, we have questions and we want answers. I said, well, you know what? I'll get the men together and let's see what we can do. So this evening's topic is 5 things she wants to know. And I just, based upon the different questions, I try to get, the gist of it and ask, and I got together some men and we're going to see what happens, see if some of these answers, these questions got answered. Real briefly, just real brief, just go around and just introduce yourself. Very simple. I want the women to know who they're hearing from so they can look you up on Facebook to see if you're credible. Go ahead, Ron. We'll start with you.
Okay. Ronald Young. I do a radio talk show and I'm just finished a book and I talk about men and all the things that men have to deal with, challenges, relationships, etc. You name it. That's what I do.
Okay. And what's the name of your book?
The Ronicles.
Ah, okay.
Nice little play on word. You like that?
I see what you did there. Okay, Travis.
My name is Travis. I'm just a youth minister here in Norfolk, youth and young adult minister, I'll say, in Norfolk. I deal with a lot of different situations with young adults and youth and especially relationships and stuff like that. I am married, so I can definitely speak from that point of view. I've been married going on 6 years now. So.
Okay. And how old are you, Travis?
I'm 32.
32. All right, Aaron. Now, Aaron, I call him John. I call him John because he looks like John Legend to me. And I call him John for so long when people say, hey, there's Aaron. I'm like, I don't know Aaron. I don't know Aaron.
I can't shake it. No matter what I do. I can't. I just hope he keeps his nose clean because if he don't, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm in trouble. Aaron Jordan, I am 40 years old. I am recently married to my beautiful wife, and I have a stepdaughter who will be 11 in December. And these gentlemen, I don't have the the professional accolades, but I'm just here to lend some support, to answer some questions, and see if I can lend some life experience.
Okay, you say your daughter's 11. When's her birthday? December what?
December 2nd.
Okay, so she's a Sagittarius. I just wanted to make sure. I don't know her, but I love her. Okay. All right, Victor.
Great evening, everybody. Victor Johnson. I am the husband of one wife, going on 21 years this December. I've been a man for 42 years, so that qualifies me to speak to that perspective. I am a church planner, also entrepreneur. Challenged to really called to challenge people, to empower, encourage, and enlighten, to help you realize your God-given potential. Not finished my book yet, but them Ronicles got me rethinking some things. So just glad to be a part of this platform, and thank you so much for having me, Selena.
Thank you all, actually. Thank you all. Now, before I let anybody on this panel, I have long conversations with them, and they're like 2-hour long conversations, because you're not gonna get up here and just talk anything. My desire is this. Ultimately, it's marriage, quality marriage. I want to bring honor back to marriage. But before I get to that step, is really working on individuals and relationships and communication. And so there is a lot that people, they just don't know. They were never taught. And so this is the platform that I want to use just to bring awareness and have a safe place and let people know. You see a lot of YouTube videos, but I find that a lot of them, they're attacking the other gender, or whoever's speaking they're really pacifying the gender that it's marketing. It's about the money. And I don't want that. But at the same time, I want you to know you're not being attacked. You're not being judged. This is information for you. We just want you to level up, step it up, so we can start having quality relationships again. Now, first, we're going to go right into the question. You know what? I'm going to start with I'm going to start with Victor on this. Are men afraid of commitment or falling in love?
Great question. Great question. Amazing question. I think there's a lot that goes into what we lean into in terms of relationships and speaking personal. A lot of times you bring in past experiences, a lot of things that challenges a man before he gives his heart. He already counts up what it's going to look like beyond the yes. I think that we are more considerate or conscious before we dive into I love you. That's why it's so I won't say hard, but it's challenging before we say those words, because there's just a level of lean in that we just have to see and experience before we go all in. I don't think that we are afraid. We are just very much challenged by what we have seen, and history plays a role in that. My bringing up, the culture of relationship, what I've experienced, what I've had or the lack thereof. Personally, I've saw relationships from a perspective because I came from a marriage that was solid. We would call or deem ourselves as the Cosby family. We did things together, played games. I saw how my dad handled my mom and so forth. But 15 years out of commitment, he makes a decision to alter. And so it created something within me to say, is that what it's supposed to look like? Is love, does it have longevity? And so when you speak to that, I don't believe that we are afraid of it. I think that we are very conscious and cautious before we say, I love you, because once I say, I love you, I'm going hard. I'm going to give everything. I'm going to love hard. I'm going to trust you, right? Not to hurt me. I'm going to go hard for you. You're going to be the first thing I think about, the last thing I think about. And so before I release my heart, right, I got to just make sure that it's going to be worth releasing it onto you.
Okay, so with that being said, now it makes me wonder, for a man, say I meet a guy and in 2 weeks he's like, I love you. Should I be hesitant of that? Like, no, you don't. Because Victor said it takes time for you guys to say that. So you playing games.
Well, honestly, let me put it like this: like when I first got into the relationship game, I was the right love notes. If you love me, check the no box, yes box, maybe box, right? So there's a level of education and wisdom that happens, and so young love will or unexperienced will cause you to jump into things that you're really not stable enough to handle. And so again, that comes from where you come from. So if you were in a position where you were hidden from a lot of things, right? If you were overly protected in that area, once you're released to be free, man, you'll love anything walking, right? Because you found what you never knew you always had access to. And so I think experience, when you are exposed, it brings a different idea. It brings a different response. But you can find somebody that you would love at a first sight.
Hold on, don't do that. We're gonna get into that. Don't go there yet. Don't go there yet.
Okay, but it can't happen.
We're gonna talk about that. Now, Aaron.
Yes.
Aaron, okay, so you give me your perspective on men and commitment.
So he said it a lot more eloquently than what I was going to say. But I believe he's absolutely right. I believe that men are afraid. But it's not of the falling in love. We're afraid of doing it with the wrong person.
Oh,
Okay, because men are naturally guarded just by nature, right? We don't allow much in. And I agree with Victor. It could be the way that we've been brought up, the example that we've had in our households. But we are committed to guarding ourselves. So for us to have and see someone that has the potential for us to actually give ourselves to, it's very scary for us because we know what that entails. Again, we're talking about getting into a relationship, right? Like not just something that you're, having fun with or something like that, but we're talking about full on commitment. So we're talking about giving of ourselves, of our heart, of our time, of our plans, of our fears, our desires, every single thing that is us. If we're giving that to that person, it's scary for us. We aren't afraid to fall in love. We're just being afraid to get let down. And there's a difference.
Okay.
We don't want to be let down once we let our guard down, because we know how much it means to us to keep up our strength for ourselves. And once we let that down for that special someone, like you said, we go hard.
Okay. Travis, Ron, do you want to say anything different or add to that?
I think if I would add anything, it would be kind of like the combination of the two, especially what Aaron said about when we really give in, we expect a lot. No, the analogy I would give would be when girls are raised up, they're playing with Barbie dolls, they're playing house, they're playing getting married. Every woman looks forward to that dress she's going to get when she gets married. Boys, on the other hand, are raised up playing sports. We're being competitive. We're doing this. Our respect is for the better sports player, the better person that plays on the team or on the opposing team. So in that commitment and in that falling in love, we're looking for that respect. We've been with this woman, we've been with that woman. So what makes this one different? And sometimes we'll stay out of a commitment. We'll be semi-committed until we really see just how this is going to play out. Just like we would on a team, just like we would playing the opposing players, just what they got, what their strong points are, and if we can respect them or not. And I think that's the piece that men do before they really go in hard, should we say, and give you their all.
Travis?
Y'all are so smart. It's funny that you bring up the teams. What me and my friends used to do growing up, the way that we would choose a girl, we would say, which one's going to be our franchise quarterback? Which one is going to take us to the Super Bowl? Which one's going to get the ring? And I really thought about writing a book about that. I really did. But we grew up, and that's how we found our wives. All of us are, still best friends. Even our wives are friends, But we chose them because we thought of it as a sports, as a team. Like, okay, who's going to really get us to the end goal? We want to win the Super Bowl. We want to give somebody a ring. We want to, like you say, give our all. But I'm not going to do it with, a quarterback that ain't going to give me to the Super Bowl. That's not going to at least get me to the playoffs. I'm not going to give it to my all to somebody who's going to sit here and play around and is not showing me that they can give their all to me. We, like you said, we were brought up differently. I also think about how I love my daughter, and my daughter receives my love and her mother's love. So when you think about a young girl and how they're raised knowing love and just receiving love and stuff like that. When on a boy or growing into a man, it's a different type of love from the father, and it's even a different type of love from the mother. You still get that nurturing, or you still get that love, but it's still a little different for a young man. So as they grow older, or as we grow older, and we think about, well, what is it going to take to really receive that love to the point where I'm able to just give it all? The one that my mother and my father would show, we have to find that franchise quarterback in order to just be able to release. And I know my fellas can relate with that.
I'm going to get me a shirt that says I'm a franchise quarterback.
You definitely should. Matter of fact, I can make it for you. I can make a shirt that says
I'm a franchise quarterback. Victor, don't do that. Don't do that.
That's fine. That's good stuff. I like that, Aaron.
Okay.
Travis, that's good stuff.
So everyone up here, everyone is married. Yes, everyone's married. This is a question that was asked. Are there men who don't struggle with fidelity. Not saying they all cheat, but that like fidelity that's not even an issue, you know? And is it common, or are they unicorns? And Aaron, I'm gonna let you go, because I think you're the most recent married one. Yes, go ahead, as a newlywed.
Okay, so my answer, black and white, is no. If they say yes, that they don't struggle with fidelity, they're lying to you, flat out.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because every honest man that's worth something to his wife, to his family, they can struggle with it, because struggle means a back and forth, right? Doesn't mean tempted, right? So there's a difference. So it takes me back to one of my favorite scriptures. It's Proverbs 16:18, right? That says, pride is before a crash and an arrogant spirit before a fall. So for me, the moment that you think that I am a man, I am in control, I have no temptation, I know exactly, I'm in control of every single thing all the time, that is when you are setting yourself up for a fall. I don't care who you are, because you as an imperfect man, as an imperfect being, you are not more powerful than the devil. I don't care how much, I don't care how much praying you do. I don't care how many books you've read, how many people you've talked to, or how long you've been in your relationship. He is more powerful than you. So putting yourself in a position of humility and saying, you know what, I'm not going to allow myself or put myself in a position to be tempted. That's the key.
Okay.
You know, whether it's in person, whether it's online, wherever.
Okay. So I hear what you're saying. I do hear what you're saying. The devil part, don't agree with that, but that's okay, as far as him being more powerful. But you are absolutely right. And I'll let the other men come in on it too. But I do see men who I feel like it's not a struggle for them, but I don't know what they're, there are some men, it's obvious. It's like, come on, why are you even married? But there's some men that you're like, okay, I trust you. But what I do find in common with those men are they are very intentional about guarding their environment. Like you don't see them in clubs and random places, or even their friends that they hang around with.
Right.
But that's the thing that I see in common with them. But I still can't say that just because you have the right friends and you don't go to the clubs that you're not in the back room doing whatever on whatever platform. But
Right.
Go ahead, Victor.
I love what Aaron said. I always think about it like this, because I do have the opportunity and privilege to speak to men, both single and married. And I always try to present the garden. There are two trees in everybody's life, right? The one you eat from and the one you don't. The question I always had was, if God didn't want him or her to eat from the tree, why is it there, right? It produces an ability of discipline. When you have access, it doesn't mean you have access, right? You are able to present a discipline of, I can, but I choose not to. And that was the purpose of the tree. Not that he would be controlling, but that they will make a sound decision, watch this, because of commitment, that I'm going to not do what is at my disposal that I can be able to do. You're going to be presented oftentimes. And the way we out here now, these women are sharks. The game is, I'm going to take your man from this marriage and bring him to a place that's going to be maybe 3 months, 90 days, however you want to see it. And then I'm going to drop him like a bad habit. The game was not for your man as much as it was to kill the marriage, right? So me personally, this is what I feel. I can't speak for every other man, but when I've purchased whatever I wanted, there's no need for me to window shop. When I go and buy the car that I want, I'm driving the car that I want, right? There may be cars that's faster, shinier, a different color, but I'm driving the one that I want. So there is no aggression to go after something when I've already locked in or agreed or committed to what I have. And I get that challenge all the time. Man, you at the barbershop. So I have three daughters and one son. So my son, every week we have barbershop day. Barbershop day is dad and son day. We hash it out, we talk it out. It's men's day. And we are exposed to different culture and different things the way it happens. And so oftentimes there's some things that comes across the window, walks across the shop, things that happen within the barbershop. Y'all know, fellas, how I go down. And so it's this black man's country club. You know what I'm saying? And so things happen, people come in and certain responses happen from men, both married and single, right? And the fact that I don't go in with a collar, I don't have a robe on, right? I don't pronounce the bishop is here, right? I don't do none of that. But yet the lifestyle that I live, it breeds respect and honor. And so therefore, these guys know the decision that I've made to stand in. And so no matter what everybody else is saying, no matter whatever response everybody else is getting, the camera comes on me to say, what am I going to do? Well, I don't respond because, again, what I want, I got. And when you are committed to what you went after, there is no need to pursue something that's not what you have, right? I say it all the time. There are going to be millions, 7.7 billion people on the planet. They can call my name, but I don't get the same response as Summer Johnson. It's different, right? It's different. Beautiful. Let me tell you something. There's some beautiful women out here, but I've only been called to one. And I think that level is discipline and commitment. Just because you can, don't mean you have to.
Okay. All right. Ron, Travis?
Okay. I would say Victor gave a great plug from one of my books coming up.
Let's go.
Because I honestly have said that marriage and women are like the cars you drive. And, you know, some are high maintenance.
Yes, sir.
Some are like Volvo. Some look good but run bad. Some cost you a lot. Some can cost you everything you got.
That's
you know,
good.
But you look good, but it makes you look good. But in that whole thing, I go along with some of the part that Aaron said. You'd be a lie if you say you can never be tempted. You can never be tempted. Because anybody can be tempted. But much like you said, Aaron, it's what you do to avoid those temptations.
Exactly.
You know, I've got one of my best friends from the 6th grade. He was out real bad on coke and crack for like 20 years. But once he cleaned up, he was cleaned up. And like you said, he knew there were some places he couldn't go.
Just can't go.
He couldn't hang out no more because he knew that it was still inside of it. And he's been clean for like almost 19 years now. But he knew a certain place he couldn't go. And I use that for the same testimony myself. I used to love going to the club. Club was hunting ground.
Right.
You know, you go, you look at this, you look, even if you didn't grab it, nothing, you still had the opportunity to look and see what's going to be available the next trip. But I remember that once I started dating my wife, and I remember one night she said she didn't like going to the club. I said, well, I do. But if you want to go, I'll take you with me. And, no, I don't want to go. So one night I was in the club and I remember saying to myself, and it was a major turning, I realized I had matured to a whole nother level. And I remember saying to myself, why am I in here?
Right.
I got a good woman at home.
Right.
And I remember putting my drink on the bar and left. Never went back on that level. I went back, for a couple of celebrations with some friends, but just never went back. Because it became, just like you guys said, it was a moot point. It was there, but what do I need it? I don't need to be there. And why would I put myself in that situation? Again, like Victor was saying, women are on a whole different playing field now. Women will come at you. I'm older than all you guys. I remember when you couldn't beg a woman to come up to a brother and ask him to dance, or come up and ask him to anything. If she did, she was on a whole nother playing field. Sir. Now that's so common, it ain't no big deal. You can be minding your business and a woman send you a drink to your table. And then come up and ask you, so what are you doing after the club?
Your situation.
Things are so different. So your guard has to be to not, like you said, not put yourself in those situations. Because once you out there, you exposed.
Yes.
And if you don't want to be exposed, then what do? You don't put yourself in an exposing position. Just like you were saying at the barbershop. Everybody's gonna look at you if you have a certain expectation over your life. You know, it's amazing to me I used to be the prime, how can I say, the prime cusser, like Bernie Mac, so to speak. I knew all 32 ways to put it in. And then after my life changed and I became more Christian, my wife didn't like that type of conversation. After I pulled that off me, here's what the crazy thing. To hear somebody curse around me and then look at me, but here's the thing, to hear somebody curse around me, then they look at me and say, oh, I'm sorry, Ron, my bad.
Wow.
Really? You apologizing to me? So that's what I'm saying. Right. Same thing with going places and the things that you do with people, for lack of a better word, you're a witness. If you're saying you're not doing it, then don't do it. If you say you're not going to be involved in that type of thing, then don't put yourself in that situation.
Right.
And that's the biggest piece. I tell that to my grandsons. I got 2 grandsons in college. I'm telling you, I say, y'all are good boys, good young men. Women are going to be coming after you because they know you are good young men. I say, so you got to be prepared how to say no to you can't just accept everything that comes towards you. That's another little piece that as men, we're not raised up to be. Girls, just like you, Selena, ever since you were 5 years old, some boy said, I want you to be my girlfriend. I want to be with you. I want to do this with you. You've been hearing it all your life. So what happens when you hear that, you build up your defensive. Boy, get out of my face. Man, you married. Man, get out of here. I seen you with all. So over time, you build up defenses. Boys and men, we're not used to girls running up to us all the time. Right. So by the time this transition happened, we hadn't built up any defenses. So a lot of men just fall into that, just go with the flow because they think, oh, this is great. No, it's not great. It's just an evolution to get you in a whole nother position that you're not used to being in. So that's my thing with that. I don't think we're ever immune to infidelity, but you can set yourself up where you don't have to fall into it as if anybody else would. Your friends, you know who every man on this panel know who his buddies are that he know to be running, that like to run with him. Then you can't hang with him. He come over and say, man, let's go to Buffalo Wild Wings and get some, watch the game. Nah, dog, because I know soon as something come in there, it's I can't hang with you.
Right.
You're my boy, but you know how you be. You have to be honest with him.
Yep.
All right. Travis, you want to add to that?
Not much more to add, really. They pretty much covered it all. I just, like you said, basically, you just gotta keep yourself out of the situation. And, it says flee from sin. So, you gotta stay away from the situations in which are going to get you in trouble. Know your weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's good, sir.
One thing we got to be honest about is, we're all human. We all falling short of the glory. We're wrapped in iniquity. Say I could quote the scriptures all day that let us know that we're human. And what Aaron said, he had a point. He said that the devil is more powerful than you, not God, but you, the human, because we are weak. Our flesh is weak. Our flesh can't handle it. So, you see, I like dark skin. That's my wife is dark skin. I'm like, good gracious, God's good.
Watch yourself.
But I gotta understand, like you said, I got my car. I got what I want. I literally got exactly what I asked God to send me. I prayed for it. I went out, wasn't afraid to step out and just say, okay, is this gonna work? He sent me somebody, wasn't who I thought it was gonna be, but it was exactly what I wanted. And in the long run, it was exactly what I needed. And so when you think about that, when it comes to fidelity and when it comes to like trying to want something else, you always, is the grass greener on the other side? Stop worrying about that. Worry about what you need and what you are desiring, what God wants for you. And I know everybody's not gonna, follow that plan. Everybody doesn't believe like that, and that's fine. But I would suggest, follow the plans of which God has planned out for you, and watch how things will play out. You don't got to worry about what so and so may got. They may have more curves or, whatever the case may be. But that's not what God has for you. And
Okay.
clearly you know it's better at home.
So something, when Victor used the analogy of the car, something just stuck out to me when he said, I'm in the car that I want. Why would I go window shopping? Well, what happens for the man who's in the car that he can afford? Does that make sense?
You said what
Like,
now?
it's not really the one he wants, but right now, this is all I can afford.
That means he's settled. Is that what God really
That's a
gave
good
you?
way
You
of
just
putting it.
settled.
That's good, sir. That's good, Aaron.
Yeah, that's good.
Did you just
That's good,
settle
Travis.
with the car that, like you said, that you can afford, or did you not wait until either your franchise quarterback really came through, or like you said, a car, you didn't save up enough investment or money to buy the car that was really for you?
Right.
And so you settled and you got the Ford Focus instead of whatever, Mazda, whatever else you want, Nissan, whatever you wanted, or the
Nothing wrong with
Benz.
a Ford Focus, you Ford Focus people. I'm just saying.
Hey, I
Nothing
had a
wrong
Ford
with
Focus.
it.
That was my first car.
That's what you want. You saying your Ford Focus.
Hey.
Hey, I had a Ford
No
Focus.
shade. No shade.
It was my first car. But whatever the car that you think it is, don't settle. And that's where a lot of relationships do go wrong, because we become tired and weary of looking. And it's like, well, stop looking. Just enjoy yourself until you find the car that you need or that you want.
And that's, so that's a real good way that he put that, because I remember my first marriage. After my divorce, I was single for 12 years. And I was just determined that I was not gonna have or date the type of women that I had dated in the past or that I was married to. I knew, and it's so amazing that you said that I just asked God, like, look, I'm tired. I just want a good woman. That's all I said. I literally sat on the couch and said to God, I just want a good woman. I'm tired. So and I'm sure he put me to the test, because the woman that I ended up marrying was one that I would have never met nowhere I go. I would have never seen it anywhere. But we got together. But to your point about what if he's just in a car he can afford, that means he's gonna keep test driving. If you just be, now this is all I can afford, but if I could just drive that, that SL 500, but I want to test drive it anyway. I know I can't afford it, but I want to test drive. Let me see if they'll let me drive it. Your credit ain't that good. No, you can't get this, dog. Okay, I just wanted to see if y'all let me test drive. But let me get this Nissan Altima. Okay, I can test drive that. It's new. And then you get to a point, and that's why I say Victor started me off, because that's what I say about this book on marriage and cars and women. A lot of cars you just want to rent. You don't even want to own it. You just want to see what it feels like to drive it just for the weekend. Wrong as it may be, you got a car. You can drive your car from here to New York. But you know what? I don't want to drive mine. I want to rent one of these new ones I ain't never drove before and use it and do something different. And the same thing with, like I say, like you were saying about window shopping. Oh man, I used to do that so much. And the funny thing, when I finally got me a Mercedes, I was on top of the world till I realized I couldn't afford repairs. You could tell me, man, the driver Mercedes, top of the line, look at that big emblem sitting out there. I was like, and my boys can see me now. And then the first time I had an ignition switch went out, and they told me it was gonna be $1,400 to fix it. I was like, "Who Jesus? $1,400."
Yes, sir.
And so, those kind of things come into play, like you say about affording. We don't, what you can handle. Just like those guys that have went into a club and want to get the finest thing in there, but she's fine, she got the sexy dress on, but then as soon as you get with her, you don't want her wearing the sexy dress out no more.
Yep.
So, okay, so what are you trying to change the whole car over?
Yeah.
You got, this is what you wanted, but now, no, I don't want nobody to see me driving this car. They might, she might be susceptible to letting somebody else drive. It's let me write that down for another paragraph.
Yeah, y'all. So basically, All of y'all
That's a whole other
YouTube
chapter.
family, y'all need to go to Women Are Like Cars, Choose Wisely. Get the book,
.com.
out the press, make it happen. It's in there. That's good stuff.
Okay, so enough. I want to know if I should ask this one or go to it. You know, I'm going to ask question, the last question, while we're on the topic of like commitment and test driving. How long does it take for a man while he's interacting with a woman, whether it's whatever the case, a long-term relationship, we just been kicking it for a while, but how long into him interacting with a woman does he know she's the one? And then not necessarily she's the one for life. Well, I don't know. Like, does a man know, okay, she's the one I want to buy, or she's the one I want to rent, or she's the one I want to lease, lease with the option to buy? How long does he know?
I think, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump
No,
ahead.
you're good. Go ahead.
Well, for me, I think it depends. For me, myself personally, I met my wife in August of 2018. By January 2019, we were looking at rings, right? So, but for me, it depends. I think honestly, it's more about, is the man, does he know that he's ready?
Mhm.
Like, how can I put it? Has he asked himself, does he know what he's looking for? Is he comfortable with his own truth? Does he know within his heart that I am ready to give myself to this particular person? Because if that's true, then I don't think there's really I think there's too much time or too much emphasis put on time. Like how long does it take? There really isn't any timetable. It's all about, as a man, do I know what I'm looking for, what I'm ready for, and am I ready now to move forward? So just a little background about myself. So I too was married before. I was married for 15 years. I was married from 21 to 36, 35, whatever it was. And but towards the end of that marriage, I had already started thinking to myself, well, I know what I don't want, right? I don't want what I had because I was unhappy. And so even though I was still legally married, I thought to myself, if I ever got married again, if I ever was in a position to be happy again, what is it that I want? So when I met my wife, I gotta be honest, I told her I wasn't interested because I didn't think I had anything to bring to the table. I didn't think I could give her my full self because I didn't know what that was, right? Being in the situation that I was in. So just being around her and being friends with her, I got to see she was everything that I was looking for, even though I didn't think I was actually looking. So sometimes things just kind of happen that you aren't aware of. And so for me, it was just about understanding who I was as a person and then seeing, okay, well, here is this beautiful woman bringing out all these beautiful things in me that I didn't know I had, and she appreciated every single thing that I had to give her. So for that, that's what it took me to understand I was ready.
Okay.
Because she was willing to accept everything that I was, even though for the life of me, I couldn't understand why she wanted me, but she did. And she was able to be patient with me and understand my situation. And after that, it didn't take long at all.
Okay, so on that note, I'm just letting you know in advance, I'm going to be doing a panel, and the topic is going to be when his I do turns to I don't anymore. Because I want to know what happened in those 15 years and could it have been prevented. But anyways, discussion for another day, just letting you know. When you see my number pop up, don't you block me.
What happens when your transmission starts messing up? I got
You burn the clutch out.
Right.
Say Victor for last for this one. Just so he could also no, actually no, the whole love at first sight, we'll say that. No, Victor, I do want you to tell. So how long, like, and this is really coming from women who are in a relationship with a man for 5 or 6 years. It's like, come on now. But then he can be with her 5, 6 years, they break up and he meets a woman and 2 months later you see him, his relationship status on Facebook is engaged, and not saying that the one he met is the one. It could, some men just don't know how to be alone. So the next one pop up, that's the one. But then there are some who legitimately, yes, this is who he probably should have always been with. But for the first woman, like, did he not know? Was he ignoring it? Just, I know you don't know for every man, but just in general, like, what is going on in a man's mind when he could be in a relationship with a woman 5 or 6 years? Does he just, are there no signs? What is it?
I think that when we are not stimulated or challenged to commit or to grow or to expand, we will continue to be basic and we will stay as long as you give us access to. The reason why he's still laying in your bed while you are getting up first thing in the morning and working your job, he's dropping you off to work and driving your car to do absolutely nothing, is because you have not put boundaries or even expectations as to his companionship. And because we are creatures of comfort from the jump, if you don't challenge me, I don't have to worry about being challenged. I get this for free. So why should I make a commitment or a corporate confession that you're the one when I'm getting the perks without being challenged? I don't think that it takes you or a man long to commit. Again, oftentimes there's some variables. If you haven't been taught or trained to know what to look for or how to look, if there is no great segue, plug the book I'm writing, Point of Interest, something that shares or shows you an idea as to how you're supposed to be. The thought point behind the book, just to give you credibility to what I'm saying. I was watching, I'm a National Geographic freak. I love National Geographic. I can watch it all day. And there's this one segment that was on dealing with elephants. And they were in the Serengeti, and they had begun to multiply and increase beyond beyond their ability to be contained. And so those who are responsible for the reserve said, well, we're going to have to remove the male bulls because they're producing at a level that we are not able to manage or contain, right? So removing the males, the male bulls, we can kind of slow down the increase of young bulls, right? So they remove the male bulls. And then some strange things started happening, right? They started to see different animals mutilated, killed, but not consumed. They thought it was poachers because only those would come in and kill. But the thing that kind of quantified that it wasn't poachers was that normal items that would be stolen from poaching didn't happen. Rhinos still had their horns, elephants still had their tusk, jaguars, lions still had their skin. So they set up cameras around the perimeter to see what was going on. And to their amazement, the young elephants were killing the rest of the animals. And then they would see, once the young elephant stomp and gore the whatever it was killing, it would stand back and look at what it just killed as to ask the question, what am I supposed to do now? They're not going to eat it because they're omnivores. They're not carnivores. They're only consuming grass, leaves. So they're not going to eat this hunk of meat. And so it confused those that were responsible for the reserve. And so they said, well, it's too much of this killing going on. So the only persons that can stop these young bulls is the male bulls. Let's bring them back. So once they brought the male bulls back in, all of a sudden, the killing ceased. So they go back to the footage, and what they understood was, because of the strength of the young bulls that they had, they were the strongest, they were most powerful, they were able to kill. They had an idea, they had a point of interest or a reference to say, we don't kill, right? They had no identity as to know what to do. They had no person to say, this is how you do it. And so because you have a point of reference now, they understand just because I'm big doesn't mean I kill. So the males were able to lead the young ones as to what to do with their strength, what to do with their power, what to do with their ability. So going back to Aaron, as he was talking about knowing what to look for and what to choose when there is no point of reference to give you language to how to look for a woman. What is your position? What is your responsibility? Mentally, where do you go? How do you prepare? We don't even talk about that, right? We're just looking for the next hottie to slide in her. And let me say something, you shouldn't be sliding in no DMs anyway, right? A real man is going to come to you and have a conversation, right? And I'm not talking about tweeting and texting you with shorthand, right? No, he's going to use language. He's going to be able to articulate. That's just a big word for saying knowing how to talk, right? He's going to know how to share his feelings because somebody has given you identity as to how to share that. Now, it didn't take me long. Now, I got a storybook, and it's real. It's not because I'm on Clubhouse. It's not because I'm on this Zoom, but it's a real life. I never saw me with the woman that I'm with now. Like, I'm from Atlanta, straight up. ATL, that's just where I'm at. Swatch, Frederick Douglass High School, Morris Brown College. Yes, I was in the drum line. Yes, I was literally in the drum line. Like, so I had no idea that I would be marrying a Virginia woman, right? But I took a trip with my mom to Virginia to a service, and no way I'm looking for a woman, right? I'm coming there, driving my mom. Like, why we got to go to North Carolina? The same Jesus in Georgia. Why we got to go to North Carolina, right? So we get there, we're in service, and this lady comes to this microphone. And God be my witness, I say the same story. Check my track record, is real. This chick comes to the mic and it's literally like Lady Sings the Blues. It's like Denzel, it's like Mahogany, like everything go black, white silhouette, boom. She gliding to the mic, right? Remember the song she sung was I'll Fly Away, Hezekiah Walker. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was at that moment, I didn't know her name. I didn't know where she was from. I didn't know. All I knew was that is the one. I went up to her after service to introduce myself. And if y'all know these Virginia women, they can be, you know what I mean? They can be that Porsche that's in the showroom. You can look, but you can't touch. You know what I'm saying? They can be that Bentley, like you got to have an appointment just to be able to, right? And she looked at me like I was the scum of the earth. She's like, what? Listen, she was looking, I tell her all the time, right? She was looking for a Tretch, you know what I'm saying? Wife beater, Tim's built, and then here come Rerun, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what? Who is you? Like, what? No, we're not doing that, right? But December, we celebrating 21 years.
I know,
right?
That's right.
I went home, that was Sunday. I saw her Monday. Sunday night, I drove back to Atlanta. Monday morning, I went to the jewelry store and I bought the ring. I didn't know her name. I didn't know where she was from. All I knew was that was the one. And I repeat, this December, we celebrating 21 years of marital bliss, right? But there were things that happened between that time period. I met her when I was 18. I married her when I was 22. I mean, I'm still in Atlanta finishing school. She's finishing Norfolk State, the master's degree program in biology. And so there are times within that time period. But as Aaron was talking about, I had to change from an 18-year-old way of thinking now to prepare my mind is, how does a man who's going to marry think? I don't have the point of reference in the house. He's gone, right? Mom is grinding. So I have to now think, not club, as Ron would say, but household, right? I can't think about how many J's I can buy. I got to think about life insurance. I got to think about IRAs. You know what I'm saying? I got to think about legacy wealth. Like, what 18-year-old is thinking about that, right? So a lot of that plays into, comes into play, understanding that responsibility of saying yes. And so a lot of men will get that leash to linger in trying to find themselves. But honestly, excuse my French, you ain't gonna know how to be a husband until you're a husband. You can read the book. I read them. Everybody told me what to do. Listen, 50% of the men told me how to stay married is divorced. I ain't gonna write. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like they were trying to tell me, don't do this, sir. Don't do that, sir. Don't do this, sir. And they couldn't hold to the level that they were trying to hold me to. And I'm saying, whatever is going to happen in my marriage, that's what we gonna make it. Don't put the pressure on you that you don't even know you're gonna face. And so we were able to grow together and still are growing 20 years later.
Okay, so you knew immediately. Aaron, he was finding himself, but in finding himself, he found the one. And so he knew, after a while getting to know her, this is what I've been looking for. So I guess my point, I don't want to say my point is this. So if you're in a relationship with a man and he knows you're the one, at some point you should know you're the one. And then you should start making plans. So basically, if I'm in a relationship with a man 5 or 6 years and I have to ask myself, am I the one for you? Then I'm probably not.
You're not.
Right.
You're not. Not at all.
Probably one of the ones. You're probably one of the ones, but
one of the ones is not going to make the cut. So I'm not the quarterback for that team. Can I be? There's some women can I punt? Can I be on your special team? Can I do something on the team?
Use that sword behind you.
That's what I'm saying. If you are desirable to him, you will know, because it don't take him 6 years to buy a car. It don't take him 6 years to buy a pair of J's. It don't take him 6 years to buy a home. If he really, really wants you,
that's good, Aaron.
You are going to know, because like I said, once we give our all, it may be to the point where, as a woman, you just may be like, okay, just back up. just let me breathe for a second. Just back up, because my wife Jessica will tell you, once I was all in and excited, I mean, all of our friends, the Facebook posts and this and that, I get to this day, because I will write a dissertation about how much I love her and how much I'm enjoying being in love with her and enjoying my family and all. You couldn't shut me up. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a scripture, I think it's in Jeremiah, where he says that his bones, it was like he could not stop preaching because his bones were
fire.
Shut up in my bones.
Yeah,
right?
That's good, man. That's good.
So it's the same kind of feeling. You just feel like you just got to get it out of you, because you're so much in love and you have so much that you want to show. You want to show it to the world. You want to go up on top of the highest building with the tallest mountain and scream that woman's name because you're so into her.
That's good.
And it will not be anything different than that. If it's anything different than that, like you said, you are not the one.
A placeholder.
You said it, I did.
You a placeholder.
You said it, I did.
Filter. You a filter.
So is there anything different, Ron or Travis, that you want to add before I go to the next question?
No, not really, man. I think that they pretty much covered it all. I would just say, if they're still staying with you, 4 or 5 years later, 'cause my wife has said, she set standards. Like she pretty much was like, listen, I was with somebody for 5 years and they didn't move. So you know, I'm giving you 5 years. It only took me a year and a half, but she gave me 5. She said, I'll give you 5 for grace, but that's about it. She set that standards from the get-go, you know, and I already knew the type of woman she was from the get-go. You know, her mama didn't play, she don't play, it just running family, they don't play. And I think that helped me say, okay, am I gonna do this or not? Because she's already let me know. So I can, if that's not in the plan, I can go ahead and bounce.
Mhm.
But her letting me know, I was like, yeah, she different, you know. And like you said, Victor, you know, it was at the moment that I saw her, God was just like, that's who you're supposed to be with. That's the one. Whether you in love with her, you may not be in love with her yet, but you know that's the one for you.
Okay.
And it's so amazing because combination. I think I can say my wife is a combination of all 3 of what you guys have described.
That's good.
But the interesting thing that when we initially got together, like you said, what made her different was the fact that our communication was off the chain. I mean, we talked about everything on the planet, just like Victor said about National Geographic. We'll talk about TV shows. We'll talk about, it wasn't always about, I need to get you and you need to get me. It was just general conversation, great vacation places, or just casual conversation that let us know that we were so much compatible. But the biggest thing with her that was different from what I was used to, I was used to dating the Angelas of the world. Angelas being, all of you have seen the movie, Why Did I Get Married To? And you remember Angela was the one with the attitude?
Yeah.
That was my ex-wife. That was what the type of women I was used to. And to let you know, I'm not nowhere near lying. I got 4 daughters. 3 of my daughters called me after that movie came out and say, Daddy, you see that movie, Why Did I Get Married To? I said, yeah. They said, ain't Angela just like mama? But the thing, and I say that to say, because when I finally met my current wife, she had standards. I wasn't used to standards. I was used to, hey, we gonna do this, we not, hell with you, but hell with you too. That's the way we gonna flow, that's the way we gonna flow. But she had standards. She said, I don't believe in all that yelling and cussing. I'm like, okay, well, I do. It works for me to get my point across. She said, well, you don't need to get your point across that way with me. We can talk like we've been talking since we started dating. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, good point. And so it changed me. And that's the thing I think, Selena, that's so important. When you get a good woman, she'll change you. You know, if it's meant to be, you'll see changes in yourself that you'll start to say, you know, dang, I don't even do that no more. I can't believe I don't, you know, I didn't like salmon and broccoli when I met her. Now I eat it, I just finished eating it for dinner. You know, it's like little things. Little things.
Make a man change his diet, boy.
Yes,
She tough. Tough, boy. She tough.
So, you know, little things like that. And like I say, your personality. But here's the thing, just like me and Aaron said about having been married before, when you married that second time, you pretty much know, this is what I felt. I knew I could be a good man. But because of the type of women I had dated before, not to take anything away from them, because I was contributing just as much of the toxicness as they were, but I knew I was better than that. I knew I was bigger than that. So I said, I want to do it again, but I want to just to prove that I can be a good man. And so it was 12 years between the time I got divorced and before I got married the second time, but I knew I was ready then. It was so ironic because I even felt like, you know what? I'm ready now. I'm ready to do this. And then lo and behold, I had the right woman at the right time to go ahead and make that next move.
Okay, so I'm going to say, well, I'm going to ask this real quick question, then we'll go to the next one, because I was really trying to not, but see, y'all talk too much.
Good stuff.
I'll talk too much. Okay, so I'm very direct. I know what I want. I have a vision for my life, my purpose, my assignment, my marriage that I'm going to have. So when I meet a guy, I'm just straight up. I ask, what is your vision? What's your desire in a relationship? Because not everybody has to be married. Not everybody wants to be married. So it's not fair to put a time frame on someone to say, oh, if you can't marry me by this time, we're not going to be together. But I want to know right now, what is your vision at this age? That, because if you're young, I understand, but at a certain age, you shouldn't be just, well, let's see what's going to happen. No,
Yeah,
you
I'm
go
just
see with
chilling.
somebody else.
Right.
You go
Right.
sit in that Ford Focus and see. But
Yeah.
right here, no, you need to know that you
Right.
got the credit for it and the funds to back it up. So do you recommend to women who know, I am ready to be a wife, I'm tired of being a girlfriend, I'm tired of being whatever. Is it too, is it too soon for her at the very beginning to say, hey, what do you want?
Not at all.
Does it chase men off? Like, dang.
Well, you want to go?
Well, I was just very quick. When Aaron, I think you said it, Aaron, you made mention of it, Travis, and then Ron backed it up, but it resonated with me. He talked about, he said, and then all you said, 5 years, I'm gonna give you 5 years. I'm gonna give you, and oftentimes from a man's perspective, it's, well, you're trying to handcuff me. You're trying to, but I think it should push us to determine and make a decision. As he said, she changed the way I ate. I'm communicating more now, or I'm diving into things that I never thought that I can do, which is the power of that woman. And I think if you don't come with standards,
Right.
if you don't come with an expectation, right? If you don't come with boundaries and barriers, then as Ron said, I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna be lax. I'm gonna be lazy. I'm going to take up your time, right?
Yeah.
When your time is ticking. And let's be clear, our time is ticking too, right?
Yeah.
We just voice it in a different perspective, right? But I think it's noteworthy that a woman should see the value on her life. That what I don't have is time to waste.
Right.
Right?
And that's what. Yeah,
Go ahead,
and that's one thing that I can speak to personally, is because when just a quick story. So how me and my wife met, we met through a mutual friend, right? She was my coworker, and she was one of my wife's best friend, right? But I didn't know how close their relationship was, right? And so that's why I was like, I don't know if I can do this, because if things go south with me and Jessica, who we ended up getting married, now I have to deal with the fallout with a coworker, right? So that's going to make things at work uncomfortable for me as well, right? But the first questions, because my coworker sent her a picture of me, and her first 3 questions was, is he gay?
Yeah.
Does he have kids?
Yeah.
Right? Has he been married? Those were the 3 off the rip. Those were the 3 questions when she saw my picture. So that to me says that she knew from the gate exactly what she was looking for.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Right? Now, right off the rip, again, she was like, oh, wait, he's separated, and no, nothing to do with him. Right? But we're talking as friends, and then lo and behold, here we are today. But that told me that no, she had no time for games. She had been there before. I have a daughter. I've had relationships. You owe it to yourself, and I'm speaking to the women here that know that they are good and they have something to provide.
Yes.
You owe it to yourself to know right off the gate and to let these men know, listen, I am not about the games. I know what I want. More importantly, I know what I don't want. So here are the things that I want. And if you decide that you cannot meet those, there's the door. There's nothing wrong with that. The thing that's wrong with that is if you know these things and you decide to say nothing about it, and then you lie to yourself, then you end up lying to him, and then now you're in a whole big other situation.
Yeah.
So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think we're living in a time where we're too afraid to say exactly what we want because we're too afraid to offend or hurt someone else. But then doing that, we put ourselves on the back burner, and then when things don't go our way, we get mad. Because
But think
that
about
person
this,
has
Aaron,
failed
with
to
what you
see-
said to your daughters, just what you said to your daughters, I said to my grandsons. I told them, both of y'all are in college. Here's some of y'all sound familiar to all the fellas here. When you meet a young lady and you tell your partners about her, usually first thing your partners will look, who she look like, man? She fine? Yeah, boy. She banging. Oh, dog, that's nice, man. In the story.
Yeah.
But soon as a young lady meets a guy and she tell her girlfriends, first thing those girlfriends start asking, so what does he do?
Yep.
What does he drive? Where does he live? You
Yeah.
know, they want to know some real meat about this dude that their girlfriend is dating. And that just goes to show we don't ask those kind of questions as men. So we settle for the looks and kind of go with the flow over time, where women have a tendency to know off the top what they want now. Like you said, Eric, now whether they express it or not, that's on them. But they know what they want. If they don't, their girlfriends do.
Yep.
Say, girl, I don't know why you with him. That last dude you with wasn't no good. Remember, he didn't do this or that.
Right.
Your partners ain't gonna tell you that as a male, but we need to understand that and pass that on to brothers as well. Like I did with my grandson. I said, y'all coming out of college, dude. You coming out with your master's. By the time you coming out with your doctorate. You ain't got time for no nonsense. I say, and women can see that you got something about you. So you got to see what you are attracting and be able to carry a conversation with them to see, okay, yeah, we can do something together. You got some goals and some visions and some passions, just like Selena was saying that, okay, I got things I'm trying to do, but we don't usually lock into our passion or our goal until we get 35, 40 years old. Then we're looking like, you know what, I need to do something with my life. Okay, dude, you should have done that. You could have done that 15 years ago if you'd have thought about it.
Yeah.
But so many times on the male side, we don't do that. We don't really kick in. And I'll say it for me. I lived a great life in my first marriage because all I did was party every weekend, go to work, party, have a good time, do what I had to do. I just thought that was the life until I got with this woman that says, so what you gonna do with your life? You know, you getting older, you can't just, like, and then when she got me again into church, that was the thing that she told me when we were getting ready to get married. She said something to me that all of you brothers that are spiritual will understand. She said, since you're going to be the head of the house when we get married, then I'll follow whatever church you want to go to. My man, I'm thinking, I don't go to church. You following the wrong person. But I knew I didn't want to keep her out of church. So invariably, even when I was quote, quote, looking for a church, I wasn't really looking for a church, but it happened. And then once I got into church, and then she helped me see that, you see what God is trying to do with you or trying to do through you? And I start seeing things so different. That's why I say this woman had a major effect on my life. And then the next thing you know, years down, I'm a men's ministry leader at my church for 13 years. Wow. I'm setting up new programs. I'm writing a book about ministry and men.
Go ahead, plug your book again. Plug your book again.
I know that's right.
Oh, you talking about the Ron?
No, that's good. That's good. So what I'm really hearing in all that, sisters, if you guys are not on the same page, and that's okay. Yep. If you don't want to waste time out of your life, and that's what's going on with relationships now. People are investing so much of themselves because when you're in a relationship, you're giving of yourself. And then so you're giving it to somebody who's not even going to be there for the long haul. So
and
when they
leave,
they
say, why give wifey responsibilities to a boyfriend?
Yeah, and then you have to build yourself back up, go through all this emotional healing so you could be, in a decent place for the next person. And you could have been doing something else in all those years.
Let me add this right quick.
Yes.
To that very point, to the ladies who are watching and those who will watch, is that you always hear about the Proverb 31 woman. You always hear about, I'm getting me a Proverbs 31 woman. But while you're becoming that Proverb 31 woman, make sure you're looking for a Proverbs 31 man as well. Because, it talks about in that same verse, in those same verses about you know, how he's well respected, and you know, he has so much confidence in her, and how he, you know, looks at her and stuff. If you go back and you see the characteristics of what he has
Right.
to offer, you could understand, you know, it's more than just being a Proverbs 31 woman. There has to be a Proverbs 31 man as well to connect with and be able to help grow her as well. So don't waste, like you said, don't waste time, and know your value, and know what value is going to be connected with in your future. You know, I'm trying to keep it quick.
That's good, bro. That's good stuff.
You got a book you want to plug too?
Actually, I do, but I'm not gonna do it.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask this last question just simply because, well, we'll see what happens. But Ron mentioned something about his grandsons going to school. You know, men, the first thing they ask, you know, what she looked like, how she looked. And so with all of the body enhancement going on and social media, and you know, if you let social media tell it, all men have a big booty girlfriend and all women have balling boyfriends. So women want to know, they're asking, are men as obsessed with a woman's body as we think they are? Because I like my cousin said, she knows somebody with, I mean, you see like everybody, average women, not everybody wants a big booty. And she's like, she's going to get this big booty for this guy that work at Verizon. I mean, no, here we go again. If you work at Verizon, you do your thing. But the point is, it used to be that women were doing this because they were trying to attract like that man. Now they're just, anybody will do, you know, just put me on Instagram, anybody will do. So
the thing about social media, it has its place, right? Everything under the sun has its place. But to look at that as a form of something, some sort of goal, like this is what I'm shooting for, this is what
your
I
standard,
like, this is my standard. It's not. I mean, just me personally, me and my wife were just having this conversation the other day about how important looks are. For me, it's about personality over looks, values, you know, morals, goals, that sort of thing. Social media will have you believing what it shows you. And so you have to be very careful as not to be romanticized about, oh, it's all about big breasts and big butt, right? Like, it's not. Me as a man, I don't want that. I want a woman who's natural, who's confident, who is cognizant of her health and the image that she portrays, especially in my certain situation, to her daughter. You know, how is her daughter looking at her as a woman, how I should dress and how I should comport myself and how I should present myself to the world? That to me is more important than anything that they can see on social media. And I think even one of the conversations that we had was, there's so many filters out there to make your face look like this, to make your body look like that.
Right.
You don't even know what's real anymore.
Right.
So to look at that and go, that's what I want to look like. You could be chasing after the wind and you'll never find it. You'll never catch it. So my thing now, at the same time, no man has ever said, man, look at that personality in them jeans. Right? So there's a balance. So yes, we want you to be attractive. We want you to be attractive to the eye, because yes, if that is a woman that you are pursuing for marriage, I think that's what we're talking about. Absolutely. You want them to be attractive to you and to be able to ignite a fire in you physically and sexually. But that should not be the focus. The focus should be, how is this woman presenting herself as a marriage mate? And I think you will attract what you put out. So if you are putting out that image of, this is the only thing that I care about, those are the kind of men that you're going to attract. Those that only care about that kind of thing. And yes, it may do well for you, but at the same time, it may not. So me personally, as a man, all these augmentations and BBLs and all this stuff that you see, it's not what we really want. It's not.
Okay. Anybody?
Yeah, I agree with them. I'm more of the natural guy. I mean, my wife, even when she puts the lashes on, I be like, "Bet you don't really need all that," but that's her thing. Do what she gonna do. But I think that there's a place of or a piece of insecurity that lies there. That they try to make up for whatever may have happened. It could have been something that happened in the past. I actually saw on social media not too long ago. There's a girl who promotes herself as very active sexually, and she's proud of it. And it all started because somebody leaked her picture years ago. And that trauma has affected her that way to the point where she doesn't want to get married. She even said, I don't need a boyfriend. I get everything I need. Like, you would think she's a male almost the way that her mindset is. But when we go back to, to looking at that insecurity piece, you got to understand that you're beautiful and wonderfully made, and understanding that what God has given you is enough for somebody. You're not meant to please everybody. You're not meant to try to, please that man and please that woman, please that, you're meant to please one person. You're called to be with somebody. You're with that one person, and that one person is going to love you naturally, who you are, unconditionally. They're just going to give everything just for who you are. Now, can you spruce it up and you're going to put some nice lingerie on and all that stuff? Of course. But that's for that one person who loves you during the rough times when you woke up, slob all on your mouth and stuff.
Sir.
Yeah, with the bonding and everything.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the realness of it. Because
Right.
you got to think of it as you doing all these things to your body, but that's not going to raise a child. That's not going to set the communication pieces. That's not going to get you all the things to help promote and do what you can for your family. Those things just to help you look good right now in your 20s and 30s. When you get 60s, 70s, 80s, and so on.
Gravity.
Huh? That science is real. That science is real. So you're doing all that, and then now what? And so, and that man, if he's with you, then we'll see what happens then. And hopefully, I pray that he still loves you just the same, because that's what it comes down to in the end of the story. So.
Ron?
I always think that, it's obviously men are visual. So we start out that way until I think we mature over time when we realize it ain't about that, because so much of that is superficial, just like what my man was just saying there. When you look past all that, what you got? And just like Aaron was saying about that personality, the person that you can talk to, the person that you're comfortable with. But, prior to that, you're looking at all of that, because that's the first thing you see.
Right.
You don't see a girl from across the way and say, you know what, her personality looked like it could be outstanding. No, that's not what you see. You see the face, or you see the whole figure, or whatever it is, and say, wow. Then you decide where you want to take it from there. Now, if all you talking about the whole time you talking to her, you can't look her straight in the eye and talk to her, you steady looking down like, I'm up here, baby, I'm up here. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. If that's the way you're going, then, you're not ready yet. But when you can look at a woman based on what she is in her personality, in her beliefs, in her, and the way she looks in her clothes, the way she dresses up or what she wears. I'm, just like my man was saying, certain things you used to. My mother didn't wear a lot of makeup. My mother didn't, well, because weave wasn't out back then, but my mother didn't wear wig. So I was used to my woman just having your hair and just a tad bit of makeup. If you come at the point where when we peel all those off, I'm like, ooh, that ain't the same person. I just was never for that. And that's because of what I saw, I'm sure, with my mother. That just wasn't the example that she showed me. So I look for naturalness. I look for a woman that this is just what she got. here it is. Okay, so cool. We can work with that. You know, I can understand that. You ain't gotta go out of your way, like my man was saying, with the eyelashes and you know, all the weave all down to your back and blonde when you're really black. You know, you ain't gotta do all of that for me. And I think sometimes, I don't want to say sometimes, naturally, our entertainers, social media gives you a picture of something that's not realistic.
Yep.
You know, when you look, I live down here in Atlanta, just like my man Vic was saying. When you live down here and you see movie stars or singers in their natural habit, you're like, dang, she looked a lot different when I saw her in the video. You know, that ain't just set. It's like,
The same
dang,
woman. They the
yeah, a
same.
whole different person. You see them without the entourage and all that. You'll see them at QT getting gas. Like, wow, that's so. Because any other time, you like, if I saw you the way you look in the video, I'd have been running over there. Let's get a picture. Can I get a picture with you? But you don't look the same.
You recognize him.
And I remember one time when I was speaking at a men's conference. My wife was with me, and I talked about addictions. And one of the big ones I said was pornography in older men. I said, and you get caught up in that. I said, you can't do that stuff. I don't care how long you watch it. They ain't doing it. They ain't in there hitting it like that for no hours straight, nonstop, and this and that. No, you are being, you being tricked. You're just in there. You like, dang, how come my wife can't do that? And my wife won't do this. And how come, oh man. And you and the more you watch it, the more you get caught up in it, the more you think, we should be doing this. No, we should not be doing that. You take that popping your head in your knee and that bad hip, and this is what we can do. I can move my leg over here, deal with reality. No way.
Gatorade, get your Gatorade up, baby.
Yeah. So it's just about keeping it real. You know, you just got to keep it real. You can't go with the fantasies you see in social media and everywhere else.
And that's, I don't know who I was having this conversation with, and we'll go to the next one. Well, actually, one more thing, then we'll go to the next one. It's like, I can coach a guy, a man, and he'll tell me the issues he's having in his relationship, and I'll stop him. I'll say, she watches a lot of reality TV and she's on social media a lot. And he's like, how do you know? I said, because her expectations are not realistic.
Right.
And the sad part is that society is becoming so consumed with social media and reality TV that they
reality ain't reality,
and it's not real.
Really?
And I said, do you see grown men running around here in Superman leotards? Because as a child you believe it, but at some point you come to the understanding this is not real.
Right.
But adults are not making that click. They're not making that realization that this is not real. So before we go to the next question, this is laid on my heart. Vic, I want you to look and I want you to speak as if you were talking to your daughters, to that young females, come from a father, spiritual father point of view, and just talk to her, for that female who just feels like she's not pretty enough. She's not being seen. She just doesn't feel like she's enough.
And that's so powerful. As I stated before, I got 3 daughters, right? And I proposed to all 3 of my daughters. I literally proposed to them, ring and all, to affirm who they are and what they are, so that will not be a question. And even if it does, the ring reminds them of that confirmation. There is nothing more attractive, sexy, classy than a confident woman, not from somebody else's affirmation, not from a like, not from a tweet, not from a DM, but from an inward value of who you are. And the main thing that I would tell all of you is to never lose the value in who you are, not what you purchase, not girls' trips, not who you're connected to or with. You have to know you. You have to be good with you. And it doesn't take MAC makeup. It doesn't take Gucci, Versace. It doesn't take whatever brand name is out there, because you got to remember, you're wearing the brand. You're what make the brand stands out. And so you got to know and believe and be good with you. If you're red bone, good. If you're dark skinned, good. You are never called to be what you are not. And I always challenge people to not fall into the essence of comparigance. There's a word I made up. You can make it up when you theologian. I'm a
Write that
theologian, so
down.
I can make it up. Comparigance. Comparigance is simply the birthplace of arrogance that gets compared, right? It's both off the stratosphere because it's only you competing with something you were never called to compete with. Nobody will ever be you. This earth is full of just we've lost authenticity, right? The authenticity is so oh my God, it's such a value right now. But we have all these cheap copies. So many Beyonce copies, so many Cardi B's, so many Mega The Stallion, so many Suki Han, so just and all of them are still searching for them. But you got to know who you are. You are beautiful, not because of what you wear, but because of who you are. You are gorgeous. You are powerful. You are God's image of when he said, woman, he thought about you. And you need to live in that space, own that space, because there is a man looking for you. But the more you continue to chase after something you were never called to be, you will never be in the place to be found by the one that's looking for you.
Yep.
And the reason why you can't be, it's not advantageous or essential for you to have all of these items in order to be seen, right? It used to be that we can go to the mall and build a bear. Now, man, you can build a bride on aisle 7 in Walmart. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I don't know if I got in the 80s babies, but y'all remember I'm gonna get you, sucker.
Yep.
And that woman would start taking off the arm, the hair, the lid, the leg, and then you left with a hip hop ball. Like that's how it's coming today.
Wow.
But stay authentic.
Yes.
Be beautiful in your womanhood.
I just
Right.
want to just piggyback off something that you said, and I've had this conversation with my daughter. I've told her that comparison is a thief of joy, right? So like when she is, because even in her young age, like she's 10, right? And like even I see her comparing, gifts, or my friend did this, or my friend did that, or we've done this, and all of a sudden it's like what she has or what she's done is no longer good enough, because now she's comparing it to this other kid, and it's like it will take her joy away. It'll make her seem like that whatever she has is no longer good enough. And I just said, well, if you keep comparing yourself, what you were saying earlier, Victor, about you can keep comparing yourself to what you see, you keep chasing after this image, you'll never be happy. You'll never be fully satisfied. Because there's always going to be something out there that you don't have. That's like for men, right? Like, for men, it could be money, right? Or it could be power, right? Where it's like, there's always going to be someone more powerful than you, right? There's always going to be someone that has a better body than you. There's always going to be someone that has a better car than you. So there's always going to be that. But if you don't find within yourself that joy, that happiness, that when you lay your head at night and you close your eyes and you're able to sleep comfortably, if you don't find that, then it doesn't matter what it is. You're always going to be searching after the next thing.
And when Victor said something, then I'm thinking about whether I'm going to go to this last question because of time. But when, like he said, be your authentic self, because there is a man for you. And women are asking, where are all the good men at? Where's my Boaz? Don't get me started on that. But my thing is, that,
Boaz, wow, okay.
and this is what I try to say, God is faithful. If you desire a husband, he has one for you, and he is looking for you, but you don't look like you. So he
Right.
probably keeps walking by you.
Wow, that's good.
Wow.
And it's not even just the outside, but if you can't get the outside to where you're happy with it and can accept it, then that means you're not working on the inside.
It is.
Because you're so focused on the outside. So he doesn't see you, not in the natural, because you don't look the same, and nor in the spiritual, because God may have showed him your face and it does not look like you. But he can't even see you spiritually because you haven't even developed into that.
Can't recognize you.
Yeah, you don't even know who you are.
Yep.
You know, you don't even know. And so
I'm
he can't
taking that
find
for a
you.
sermon. That was good.
You're gonna use that.
You
I'm
did too.
taking that one.
I already.
Taking that one. Ooh, that's deep. That
So
is deep.
I am going to ask this last question only because I posted it. And so there might be someone who's just waiting for that one. How does a woman communicate to a man? And I prefer this because I'm a believer and whatever. But you live your life. So this is just the question. How do you communicate to your significant other that you are not sexually pleased? Now, I'm going to say this because you guys are probably, when I talk to men about it, the answers are all the same. Tell me and tell me quickly. And I prefer you tell me while we're doing it. But the funny thing is, when I talk to women about it, most women say, girl, you don't tell him nothing like that. He can't handle that. So women don't even know. No, the men want to know. And there are so many women in relationships, marriages, whatever, that are they're just sexually unfulfilled because they're not saying anything.
Yeah.
So break that down from a male's perspective.
I can tell you real easy.
Ron, with your experience and your book, is that in
break
your book?
Real
Hey,
easy.
okay. Like here it go.
You want to hear it from the woman for this main reason. And when you tell her that, she'll understand it easily. What I do to Pat, Keisha, and Mary out here, I'm rocking their world. But I remember coming to Teresa over here, and Teresa said, boy, what are you doing? Like, woo, what, huh? Everybody else like that. You know, I don't like that. That's nasty. You know, then you like, oh, okay. So before we even get to that, we need to talk. We need to have some conversation about what do you like? I mean, once we get to that level, we can talk about this. And I think so many times couples are uneasy with talking about sexuality before we get right to it.
Crazy.
But if we talk about it first, once we get to it, then I know if I touch you here or move you there or flip you there, we all good. But if I'm coming in there and men we have this thing that machismo that, hey, you know, everybody I done rocked it with this little position right here. This knock their nose off. You don't like that? No, I don't like that. Okay. So instead of your ego as a man being hurt, you need to be like, okay, so what do you like? What do you prefer? I said, baby, I'm not trying to be funny, but what do you prefer? I didn't know. This is what I've always done.
Yeah.
Okay, so how we want to do this?
Yeah.
You know, it's just little things like that just brings a whole different play into the book, because you can't assume that every woman likes everything, and all women are different. As soon as you say that to her, because women, here's the expectation on the women's side, Selena. Women assume, y'all just assume that we should know how to satisfy you. That should be a God-given instinct, man. You a man, you should know what to do. No, we don't. Because again, your body ain't like her body or her body. Your everything about you is totally different. You know, some things the same, a lot of things different. Yep. But as soon as I start doing, like I said, those things that they like, you're looking at me like, okay, obviously this ain't gonna work.
Right.
You know, this ain't working. And that's not where you want to go.
You do
that's how I look at it.
So I'll piggyback off of what he said, coming from, because you're asking from a woman's perspective, right? Like a woman feels like she can't say anything to the man. So I'll say this.
Like, and not to cut you off, like for instance, if he's insecure, I know some guys, if you tell him, I like it like this, the first thing he think, well, who else did that?
Right.
You know?
So now there is that, right?
Yeah.
There is that. Because again, we have ego, okay, and it's very sensitive, okay. Which is why it's important to know that yes, you can, as a woman, communicate that, but it's about timing and technique. And what I mean by that is, if this is the first situation or the first time y'all got together, or the couple times y'all got together, maybe y'all don't know each other that well. But if we're talking about folks that are in a committed relationship and you guys are exclusive to one another, then she should be able to at least know her man and know when is the right time to talk to him. Because maybe in that moment, maybe in that particular moment, it's not the best time to say, to whip out your notepad, but you say, listen, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you didn't do this, you didn't do that.
The notepad.
Right? That's not going to be, that's not,
I don't
that's
have
not.
all the props.
However, however, if it's done and like the scriptures say, if your words seasoned with salt, right? So if you can take a little tact and say, hey, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, and then maybe a positive affirmation at the end, make it a sandwich. This is what I like, done great at this. This I wasn't really feeling, hey, but keep doing this too. You see what I'm saying? And so, because like I said, we're men, we have an ego. We like to think that maybe we know, like Ron said, we know what we're doing. We've been doing it for X amount or whatever. And we're sensitive to that. All right. But my advice to women is, don't come with the, well, I'm gonna be brutally honest, because that's something that I've heard a lot of my homegirls say. I'm gonna just be brutally honest. Honesty without compassion is cruelty. So there's no place for cruelty inside of a relationship, right? There's enough of that outside. That's what the police are for. That's what the politicians are for, right? There's enough cruelty outside of it. You don't need that within your union. So if you just take the time and the patience to say, hey, babe, I didn't like when you put my foot behind my head and took me. I like that, but everything after that was cool. But when you did that, but also at the same time, say, hey, is there something that I can also improve on? Put yourself in a situation. There's also something that I can do.
That's good.
To improve it to you, because now you're not putting yourself above him. You're putting yourself on the same plane. And let's just face it, when you're in that moment, both of your goals should be to please each other, not yourself. Right. So if you can put yourself in a position where you're saying, listen, I'm going to take the humble and lesser road as well. I know I'm imperfect. I don't do everything right. So I'm going to tell you this, but at the same time, I'm also willing to accept criticism and constructive criticism myself. That's going to earn you some major points as well.
Now, would you even recommend, or it really doesn't matter, if she starts it with like, is there anything I could be doing different? Or does it really not matter what order that comes in, as long as it comes in somewhere in the conversation?
I think that he made a very great point about what that moment is meant for anyway, right? That moment is meant for pleasure on both parties, because even though this is not an indictment or a question to men, we have desires as well. Now, we won't mention it because, hey, we here. So if I don't get what I want, I'm at least I'm gonna get something. You know what I'm saying? So it's we're not that detailed, and in our minds we say, man, I just wish he would just. But you know what? We here. But from a woman's perspective, it's in the details, right?
Deeper.
And men are givers, women are receivers, right? And so oftentimes what I talk to the men I'm chosen to lead and encourage and empower is this: whatever you want from your woman, you give it. You initiate. Because if something is given, the law of reciprocity is this: it's going to be received. And I think if you can't present a place where you can communicate, and I think this is, and Celine, I want to shout you out for you being selfless to create this space and this platform to have this conversation that is so needed and important, that the communication piece of it happens. I mean, while you're in your betrothed position or in that relationship aspect, this is a line item of conversation.
Yep.
Like this is not off the table. Because listen to me, if you can commit to me, if you're going to commit your life to me, then there's some things you're going to need to understand. And that's on both areas. And it doesn't exclude the bedroom, right? That's not off the table. That's not taboo. That ties the bind together. And when you're just blind and just, it is what it is. Because, just from a man's, I mean, that's just what, hey, we good, let's go. I ain't hands clap, ropes, chains, it don't matter. Let's get with it, right? But I had to learn this, right? I had to learn this because I thought romance to my wife was me buying the jewelry, was me buying the perfume, coming home with the candy and doing the baby, I was just thinking about you today. Boom, 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 boom. And then I'm dun, right? Or I'm you know what I'm saying? I'm talking all day. And then when I come home, I'm mute, right? Like I don't got nothing to say. Like, and it took a moment of conversation for her to tell me, listen to you talk all day. And when you come home, you mute, right? I've come to understand that romance to her is me coming home, sitting beside her on the couch,
yes,
watching the most boring movie that's on the planet.
Yes.
Lifetime or whatever is happening that's which she ain't even watching because she playing on her phone. Romance to her is me just being there.
Right.
Ain't gotta touch her, stroke her, hold her hand. If I'm sitting beside her while she playing Candy Crush, Tetris, or whatever it is, while Lifetime is on, when I could be doing this, she turned up. She ready to rock. She ready to lay it happen. Why? Because I've given her. That's a love language.
Yep.
Right?
Hey, they have a word for that, Vic. You know what my wife told me it was?
What is called?
Snuggle. She told I never heard of snuggle. I thought snuggle was foreplay. I didn't know it was snuggle.
You will always get props from me. You are the man. You feel me? Like you got my endorsement tonight. Everything you done changed my whole. When I get off this here, we gonna try everything you just said. We gonna rope flips. Tip, hey, you done turned me up tonight. But I think it's noteworthy to have that conversation and talk about it.
I agree.
And because both of you as Aaron said it so eloquently, you should want the pleasure for the other person. Mm-hmm. And I think because we've had a misconception because of what we've seen, a false reality, we take that into the relationship when that is not what it's supposed to be. God gave a man for the woman and the woman for the man. My body belongs to you and yours to mine. And when you come in it with that mindset that I'm coming in not to do what I saw, but let's create our own narrative.
Right.
Like, who says that it has to be 6 hours? Who says that it has to be with ropes and chains? Like, we could be sitting here looking at Little House on the Prairie and she just good. Right? So we create the narrative through that conversation. Now I know when I come home what to do, what creates the atmosphere, what sets the tone that makes it conducive to have a real conversation. That's my spiel.
I'm going to ask you this. Okay. So I'm all about communication. If it's on your mind, let's talk about it. And the thing with communication is that I was talking to my girlfriend earlier, and I said, men want to talk. It's just that women are not always providing a safe environment for them to talk. Because once he starts to open up to you and he says something, a woman should like, that's the stupidest thing. Once you say that, he shut back down all over again. He's not gonna want to talk to you.
Yep.
But so, okay, I get the whole, if you're not sexually pleased, you need to tell him. Because like you said,
Right.
especially if you're not a virgin, you know, even if you are, you still, if you something you don't like, whatever. What if it's small? Do you share that? Because that you can't change that.
What are you comparing it to?
What if
Right.
it's small to me? I mean,
So
do you want to know that? Like as a man, would you want to know?
No.
Because you can't change that.
I think again that goes back to culture, right?
No, I mean, what if I'm not saying let's measure it and we go to the Google and see I'm talking about for me.
Mhm.
It's small for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that something a man wants to know?
Since I
Well,
have no
you can't
I'll be
reference
honest
change
point,
with you.
since I have no
be honest
reference
with you.
point for that, I would just turn around.
I
Listen,
mean, honestly, every
I'll let
man
you-
know
I'll let you
every
go.
man know that he ain't no mandingo. I mean,
Wait,
but
you ain't telling him nothing he don't already know, basically. is
I
what
mean,
you're saying.
like, but the
What
true
if
man, will present it and posture you in a way that's not even an issue.
There it is. He'll figure it out.
He will be able to put you in a space.
He'll figure it out.
He will be
He'll figure it
able.
out.
He will be able to put you in such a space that you won't know if it was 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, or if it had a length.
Well, what is this
Okay.
space? Because if it's a 1, I'm gonna know.
Ah.
Okay, we gonna be real. If it's a 1, I know that's a 1.
Oh God.
I would tell you. I would tell you to what was that show Ron said he was watching? Then you probably need to move to that city because it's only them men over there, right? Got 3 legs. I mean, if that's what you want. But I think again, it's conversation, because at that same moment that you're expressing a necessity for you, he also has one.
Mhm.
Right.
And so
I mean, like, no, I'm being serious though.
I'm serious.
Because
Like
he
you
can't change that. Is that something you even share with a man if he
But
can't
again,
change it?
but like I said, there may be something that he sees that's not in favorable of what you possess.
Okay, so
do we-
okay. How much time we got?
We gotta wrap this up. We do. We do.
So let me say this, right? Let me just say this. If that's the issue, if that's the problem, then she's going to have to really coach him as to all the other things that he can do.
Break out the toys.
Where
But this is my question. It's not about solving the problem. My question is really this. Is that something you even share with a man? Like, for
Yes.
instance,
Yes.
if there's something about me that
Well, okay, let me ask you this. What is your relationship?
say we're married. Okay, like with me, I'm practicing.
If you're married, you already know, right?
No, I'm saying we're not married yet. So what it's like, dang, abstinence, I get it. If I was a virgin, I'd be like, cool, but I had kids and whatever else.
Okay.
So it's like, dang, there's a part of me that I'm like, God, is it okay for me to at least see it? We're being real because we're grown. God, can I at least see it?
Okay. Yeah.
What?
I mean, look, you can
What?
We're grown.
Listen,
we're grown, okay? And I really did. I'm like, God, can I at least see it? You know, can you make something happen where this is an accident? It wasn't intentional. Like it was like I accidentally walked in the bathroom. Can I at least
can't get out of there? Can I at least see that?
No, that's no.
Sweatpants season coming up. I'm just saying. Can I at least?
You're messing it up. You're spoiling the entire experience.
Yeah, if you married them, then it's too late. But but before that, you have an out. You can say, hey,
that's
you know
your
what?
deal breaker.
That could be your deal breaker. Like
and you're right.
We're going back to what you said about knowing yourself. If that's a hot button for you, and you can you can figure out some way where you can see it without
And women use all kind of things. They'll ask you your shoe size. They'll say, see your hands.
Listen.
All we gotta do is wear gray sweatpants. We wear
for real, like gray sweatpants day, right? Like
nowadays we just wear the gray sweatpants and they look.
So if at that point again, you're at that point you are walking away from what matters, and you're minimizing a major moment, right? I want to test the waters. I want to see. I want to know. I got to know. Blah, 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 blah. And you're missing the essence of what that union would create, because if that's the thing that will cause you to walk away from something that will change the trajectory of your life for something that's minimum, right? Because let's say
minimum, no pun intended.
That was very intentional. Listen, I speak intentionally. I know exactly what words to use, right? Because let's say something happens. Let's just say you were able to see the goodness that you wanted, but an accident happened, and that is no longer available. Then what? What do we have left? He doesn't have what I thought, what I saw, what I was getting ready to explore and be gracious in, but now we don't have it. What do we have now? And I love what Aaron said. What is the relationship? Like, what did you go into it for? Where are we? Is that all that you want? Is that the thing that's gonna make you say yes to the dress? Because we're quick to say yes to the dress, but we don't want to say yes to the rest.
You've watched a lot of TV with your wife, brother. I can tell.
Hey, bro, you feel me? You know where I'm at. I got him, bro. Like every marriage show, bro. My 600-pound life. Why are we watching 600-pound people? Why?
And that goes both ways. I mean,
I'm never going that route. Are you trying to tell
me?
Right. There are times when women have certain issues that'll stop them from being able to do the things that she's been able to do up until this point. For me, I'm the older guy. My wife has dealt with cancer. So that was a period of time when sex was just out of the question.
That's good, Ron.
Because of what she was going through.
That's real.
And then the irony is once that started to get regulated in the right way, then there was a hip problem. So she ended up having hip replacement surgery. So, all those, so if all I'm thinking about the whole time I'm with her is how often and how diverse we can have sex, then I done killed the whole package. But once you realize it's way bigger than that, no pun intended. It's way bigger than that. But I remember when she had the hip surgery and the doctor was telling her what the physical therapy was going to be. And he was saying pretty soon she'd be able to move your leg back this way and back this way. And I joked with the doctor. I said, but when would she be able to move the legs out this way? So because he talking about that, I ain't worried about that. I'm worried about this. And he said, oh my God, nobody's ever asked me that. I said, I'm being real.
That's why you win, Ron.
Yeah.
That's why you a man. That's why you a man.
After the physical therapy, after a while, that'll come into play.
I'm buying all your books. I'm buying all your books, Ron. I'm buying all your books, Ron. I'm buying all of them.
But that's so valid what you're saying, Selena. But I guess in the bigger picture, it's like, okay, what are you really looking for?
Now, my question is this: do you tell him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even if it's
I mean,
small,
but
you
here,
can't change
but
that.
Listen,
it's like
listen.
anything else. It's like telling somebody they breath stink. You
Yeah.
gotta have a certain
No, I'm talking about
dynamic in the
something.
way you say it. You
I'm
just
talking
can't
about
say, "Hey,
something.
this ain't working."
I'm
You
talking
just-
about something that cannot be changed. I mean,
I'm
it's
just-
like,
Okay, but listen.
He knows
What you
it.
do is you tell them, right? Then, like you said, if your breath stink, what do? You gonna think my breath stink, but you got a piece of gum you can give me, right? So now you're gonna offer some sort of solution.
How can we work this out?
So you don't just hit me over the head with a hammer and then expect me to figure it out as a couple. Like you said, know where your relationship is. Now, if you are in a situation where, listen, you're just having fun, then hey, by all means, you can walk away and you don't have to say nothing, right? But the fact that you want to say something means that you desire something in this man other than this particular act. You see a value in him besides this. So the fact that you actually want to say something lends to the fact that there's something more here, right? So you're trying to say, okay, you're taking his feelings already into consideration just by thinking, should I say something?
Yeah.
Because if you say it to yourself, this is the last time I'm gonna see this fool, right? Then you're not gonna worry about that. You're gonna hit the door,
Right.
keep it moving, block the number, ghost them,
Right.
whatever, right? But the fact that you're even thinking about it shows that you are in some way invested or committed to the idea of there being something more with this person. So you tell them, then you offer solutions. Say, hey, you got to do whatever you can do to get me to the point where it don't even matter after a certain period of time. Get her, as a man, you got to get her so worked up, get her so worked up and into you where all you,
I'm telling you.
I'm
writing a book on that.
It don't matter. It
don't matter. That's exactly what the book is called. Thank you.
That's gonna be the name. It don't
But in all
matter.
seriousness,
It don't
if
matter.
you are asking the question, should I tell him, means that you are on the trajectory, if I even said that word right, to try to figure out where you are in a relationship going forward with this person.
That's
So,
good, Aaron. That's
you're
good.
thinking of
Very
it.
good.
If you're even thinking of asking, you've already answered the question. Ask it. Or tell them.
Yep.
all right. Anything else on the subject of that? Anybody? All right. Well, there we go. We answered the questions. I really enjoyed this conversation. It's been 2 hours, and when I say it like that, it sounds long, but it doesn't even feel like
No,
that.
no, it really
Doesn't
don't
feel
feel
like
like
it.
it's been that
It
long.
doesn't feel like that, not at all. You guys are silly too.
Let me ask you something, Christina.
Yes.
What is your expectation from these conversations? And is there a measure to see your level of impact from what's being received from these conversations?
So it's like I said at the beginning, my ultimate desire is bringing honor back to marriage. That's my ultimate desire. I'm just, and it's sad to say that Christians are really making marriage look bad.
Very horrible.
I was part of a Facebook group. It was like godly relationships. And it was like over 300,000 people in it. And somebody asked the question, a young lady asked the question, what do I look for in a man? What should I look for in a man, as far as a spouse? And there were like thousands of comments. And the one I saw the most was, he's got to love God. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Do you know how many men I know love God that does not know how to love a woman?
Love their wife.
But not only that, when you give her, when she has that mindset, she's open. It's open season. She's prey, because all a man has to do is come up to her and quote a scripture. And she's like, he's the one.
Hey, yes.
He's the one. All he got to do is speak a fake tongue. Oh, that's him. Close his eyes and run around the church. Oh, that's my husband. And it is so sad. So I'm like, I just want to bring honor back to marriage. And by doing that, starting with relationships and just the foundation part of it, teaching communication, encouraging, just getting to know yourself, getting to know God, and just understanding your assignment. What is your assignment here? And everyone wants to, they're looking at YouTube videos. How do I know if I met the one? And this and that. You're worried about the wrong things, because you two will meet. And another video that I'm going to do is you get your identity straight. Learn your purpose with God, because one of the things your husband will be able to do is confirm your identity. So if you don't even know who you are, you won't even know what he's confirming. You'll fall for anything.
Yeah.
And so that's my goal here, is just to, and just like I said, open up. Right now, it's been kind of leaning towards women. It hurts me when I see some of the things that women are just allowing themselves to deal with, and just hurting themselves over and over again. And it really hurts me, because they're raising children. And so it's a cycle that's going to keep going until something happens that says enough. And that's what I want to be. I want to be that cycle breaker that says enough.
And I think one of the things you're doing already, Selena, is with men like us. And I always put that on the men, because I got 4 daughters, all of them grown. But I'm a lot harder on men than especially when it comes to relationships, than I am with women and talking to men. Because the more brothers like we have here that talk about marriage in a positive way, then the more marriage becomes more viable. Because we have so many men, just like I'm on, being the social media person that I am, I'm on a lot of the relationship sites as well. And you always see that women saying, what should I do? Why do men do this? Why do men do that? That's obviously because they're not hearing from men like us. They're not hearing from brothers that are happy with one wife. They're not hearing brothers that are dating one woman to eventually marry that woman. They are, like my brother said, he saw the woman at 18, like, you know what? That reminds me of Steve Harvey. When Steve Harvey said that he saw Margie that in 97 or 97, and it was 6 years before he ever saw her again. But he said when he saw her, I want to marry her. Because it was something that was different about all the other wives and women that he had dated, that, you know what, that one. And I'm just saying that once men start saying more positive things, men start saying more positive things about marriage, then you'll start to see a turn. Because like, what did I say at the beginning of this whole thing? Women are programmed for marriage. They are looking for marriage. They know what they want. They think they know. Those that don't think they do, but at least they're programmed that way. We're not. So once we start getting on board, as we have with the brothers here and other ones, we're not a minority. We out there, but we just don't talk about it as much. And once more men talk about how awesome it is to have a wife like I got a good woman. Instead of, like, you look at every comedy skit on, they're talking about, oh, take my wife, please. Oh, my wife, this, oh, my wife a trip. My wife, that buys into that narrative that I don't want to be married because these dudes talking about their wife. Come on, we gotta do better as men to push out there so women see that, okay, there's some good brothers out there. And for men to see, yeah, man, marriage can't be all bad, because this brother, look at the dynamics of the 4 of us. All totally different brothers, totally different backgrounds, but all of us happily married.
Yeah.
Happy with our spouse. Now, are there challenges? Of course there's challenges.
Yes.
There's challenges in everything we do.
Yeah.
But are you, like I said about cars, as soon as your car needs a tune-up, you don't go like, you know what, I'm trading this in. I can't do no tune-up. No, you fix it. And I always say you keep up with the routine maintenance so you don't have to make major repairs. Same way in the relationship.
Okay.
And that's, I think, more you see that, more men talk about that, the more women will buy into there's some good men out there.
That's good.
All right. Well, amen, Brother Ron. Amen.
He the GOAT.
Buy his book. Please buy
He the
his book.
GOAT. He the GOAT.
Please buy. And Travis, what's the name of that shirt I'm getting? What kind of quarterback am I again? I forgot what kind of quarterback.
Franchise.
Franchise.
You are the franchise quarterback.
I'm a franchise
Oh,
quarterback,
man.
guaranteed to get you the ring.
That's it. That's it.
All right. Well,
Um,
thank you guys so much. I'm gonna stop. Actually, thank you all for looking. You guys don't hang up. We're gonna have a little side talk because you guys are talking about my background, and I'm gonna talk about each and every one. But thank you all. And the first Thursday of every month, we're gonna have these discussions. So be on the lookout.